Well, on my left side, Mr. Alok is on my right hand side. The introduction and the biodata will be presented by our friend, our colleague, Amitabh. I'm just making a small briefing for this session, why we have decided to host this session here. I think because most of us as a journalist, senior journalists, we are yet to be very cyber friendly with all the technology, though our kids and our staff are more better than us. But having said that, I would say still we are in the stage of learning and we can learn lots of activities and lots of things to do. And do we consider the artificial intelligence as supplement or alternative to a true journalism, or we do it as to empower us, as an empowering journalism and the truth? So I think with these few words, we welcome you all, and I'm sure the crowd will keep on building up while we continue the session. I will give the mic to Amitabh to introduce our chief guest. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Yes, please. Thank you, Doctor. First of all, I would also like to welcome Mr. Ashish Venkathi and Alok Ji. Both are quite well-known faces. He has been ex-CEO of Prasar Bharati, as you know. He had a great stint. A lot of development had happened during his tenure. And he's been lately connected to this forum where a lot of AI initiative has been taken, especially to do with media, because media is something where we need AI at first place. And that's the whole idea of today's session. Alok ji has been involved with a lot of channels in the past. I had a privilege to work with him in Z as well, long back, must be decades back. But now he's also part of this AI forum, which is doing quite a great job. So how we wanted to roll out this session is to have a brief by Alok ji and session about 20-25 minutes. And we would like to keep this session more interactive. And I would urge all of you to ask as many questions as you want so that we can make it more enriching for the audience here and also audience which is online. So over to Alok ji.
Thank you very much. I can request everybody to keep the phone on silent mode. We can listen and watch, and then later on we can interact with you. Please go ahead. Now, down with the watch. On the right, it is for you.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this session. So, before I start, we have a few slides only to set the stage and then. Before I start, I want to ask one question. Right? How many people here have used AI? Some of. How long have you been using AI?
Consciously, many.
The reality is that all of us have been using AI for almost 15 years. But AI is a so big. Almost every user we use Google, there is a Google, there is a, then we use Amazon, there is a. Everyone say AI all these products. But earlier we used to use AI to give us some other stuff. Now there are specialized AI, and they're giving the AI tools to us so that we can create or do whatever we want. This presentation is about now what is the possibility there of we can do AI and how that can help us. How that can help us, especially in our business. And AI is really all you will need as you go along. Just Quickly about us, as a company, AI for India is a non-profit organization, and we work in creative collaboration between researchers, developers, academia, industry, government, and civic bodies to build AI ecosystem for India. So we're trying to make everybody work together. We recently held a very large AI summit at Bangalore, where we had people from these countries. We were the only non-government body representing India at the AI Action Summit in Paris earlier this year. And we have a specialized initiative called Data Guard, where we encourage people to donate their data for development of AI. Now, what exactly is AI? To still understand simply, it is the ability of machines, which are basically computers, to start thinking like intelligent humans, right? And therefore, exactly like humans can, these machines can understand data. They can understand this data is, it can be numbers, it can be text, it can be images, it can be audio, video, code, computer code, etc. And it can generate exactly all numerical data, formatted text, essays, etc., images, videos, audio, and even code. That's how people are using it. And there are now AI applications in any industry and every industry under the sun. So from agriculture to software to gaming to education, every field is using it. Simplistically, what can it do? Today we have something like a chat GPT or Grok or Gemini, different put in any question, any query, which is called a prompt, and you will get a response, detailed response from that company. That response can be the chatbots can give you the response as a poem. It can do it in any language, language of our choice, in the any of the global languages, many Indian languages. It can put them in a tabular format for us to easy to understand or in bulleted points, etc. The way we want. Um, it can write, for example, a film script for us with audio, video, what will happen. It can write code, and it even understands code and tells us what to do with that code, how to make a actual app from that code, right? So these are the various abilities. It can create images. This is AI generated image, which is absolutely lifelike. If at the end of this session we take a group photo, it will look like this. This is AI generated. Or it can create, images out of. So this was my picture. I said converted into an animated form, and this is what it gave. Or sometime back, we all saw this Ghibli style craze, which happened. Everybody was creating their Ghibli style. All this is done. I don't know whether this will work. Um, Never mind. So these are all completely created by AI. It can read video, so any kind of video, very complex video. So, for example, this is for sorting of waste material. It can identify what objects are in factories, different parts of a thing, etc. It can read images. So you put in any kind of image, and it will give you detailed description of what all is there. We may miss some of the things in that cluttered desk, but AI will not miss it. You can put in X-rays, your MRI scans, and it will give you a detailed analysis of what's going on. You don't need a radiologist. Um, it can create voices and generate voices. So Darth Vader, if some of you are Star Wars fans, was the voice of the voice of Darth Vader was iconic. Now that actor is no more, but his voice was recorded and an AI has been built. So in future, any Star Wars movies comes, Darth Vader voice will remain the same, right? And that will be generated through AI. Or you can create conversations through, yeah, both voice and accent. Um,
Tesla, right? The car company?
So this conversation is between a
Yeah,
human
that's right.
and an AI generated voice.
Tesla Motors, the car
You can't
company.
make out the difference.
Did you have any trouble or questions?
You generate music. It's entirely AI generated. There are sites like Suno and Udio where you can generate complete songs, not only in English language, but many other languages, including Hindi. What do you mean? AI can create all kinds of videos, audio visuals, talking heads. I, for example, create
access to a large number of digital services for every
30
Indian.
seconds of my video.
AI can democratize access to
put in this
services
text
for a
screen
better quality of
and
life
it
for Indians.
or there is new tool called Veo 3 which can create full films like 8 seconds. Everything, all characters, settings. Yeah. Sorry. We can write all kinds of contents, including marketing copy, website copy, news articles, reviews. There is a new development on top of AI called AI agents, which work on our behalf. So when we create an agent, that agent can do things for us. It can go and search for us and give us information. It can book a ticket for us, for example. So these are early stages where these agents are coming into play, but soon you will feel we will start working with AI agents than real human agents. It can even help us create a complete report with something called deep research models. So this is an entire 10-page report created using an AI with just one subject saying, I want to understand this particular subject related to supply chain. AI can read any kinds of PDF and make us understand complex material inside the PDF. So if it's a 200-page report or 100-page report, we can use AI tools to make get exact summaries and read different parts and understand different parts. So there are different tools for that. And AI is very popular in India. It's already ChatGPT. The largest number of users are coming from India, and which is why 3 years back they have launched a very cheap 399 rupees per month model for it, because they're seeing India as a very big market opportunity for themselves. And even in large corporations, India ranks as first in adoption of generative AI technology across Asia Pacific. Even our companies are using AI very effectively. I'm sure most of the organizations you are working in are using AI format out there. So with this, I want to invite Shashi to take on the next part.
Hi, good afternoon, and thanks for inviting us to have this conversation. We'll run through a bunch of slides, but I would really appreciate if there are more questions and we make it interactive. Yeah. So one of the aspects of why is India, so high in terms of adoption of AI. If you look at the sheer number of people who are playing with AI tools, and so there is a theoretical framework for this, which has looked at what is called diffusion, which is basically how does a technology percolate down to different parts of society, be it students, be it researchers, be it small industries, micro enterprises, or the large corporations, right? What does it take? So diffusion is basically the ability of a society to absorb a technology and do it very fast. So even though India may not be the inventor of many of these technologies, India may not be the where all the innovations were created, we have a good ability to absorb and adopt new technologies, and I think that is a very critical factor, which is accelerating our whole socio-economic development. So even though we may be an innovation laggard, we can be a diffusion leader. And I think that is basically what this analysis says. But for that to happen in a very sustained way, we have to ensure that every part of society is benefiting from this diffusion. You can't have large gaps where the elite within the society are adopting it, but the common man is not. So for AI to gain that kind of diffusion, we would need a similar thing like UPI. Today, if you look at UPI, the adoption of UPI is across the board, right? You go to any thelawala, any roadside vendor, everybody is using UPI to make payments, to receive payments. So what can we do with AI? So AI can also percolate and diffuse at that scale, population scale, across billion Indians. So that is the big question. How can we achieve that? So one of our goal is, as an ecosystem, what role can AI for India play in enabling this, where we ensure that AI is built with an India context in mind for Indian situations, for Indian applications, Indian use cases, and how can we ensure it where it scales at, just like UPI at a scale of 1 billion, where everybody is able to access these tools on their mobile phones in a very easy manner, in a very intuitive manner. So one of the goals for that is how do we build a sovereign AI model? Because today, especially in today's geopolitical context, where countries can block access to technology, countries can block access to platforms. India has to have a certain degree of autonomy when it comes to technology. So one of the goals is how do we build a sovereign foundation model or an AI model, and then how do we take this from concepts to real systems, right? If you look at Aadhaar, you look at UPI, you look at the government e-marketplace portal or FASTag, for example. All of these went from concepts to large-scale adoption. How do we do the same thing with AI? Today, if you look at a lot of the Indian AI, it is largely focused on languages, translating from English to Hindi, or if you can talk in Tamil, can it generate text in Telugu? Those kinds of scenarios. At this stage, for example, the Indian Parliament, just recently the speaker announced that they're using this tool called Bhashini, which was created by the Ministry of IT, so that in Parliament you can have the proceedings in multiple Indian languages. So that is where the starting point is right now in India. How do we get that across the entire ecosystem? And a key part of this is to make sure that there is enough data and infrastructure available to be able to achieve this. Because if you look at the way a lot of these big platforms from the West have been created, like ChatGPT or Gemini and so on, they require a huge amount of data center capacity. They need a huge number of processors. The sheer electricity required to run those data centers runs into the the gigawatts. And then, of course, when you're generating power at that level, you also need cooling, and that places a huge demand on water as well. So there is a big question mark on is that way of doing artificial intelligence, is that even sustainable? Is that scalable? Should we in India think of other ways of doing it? So that's another big question for us to think about. And then, of course, how do we, what I spoke about, bring everyone together, create a UPI-like movement. So if you look at what are the priorities, right, that the government and the broader ecosystem in India is looking at, as I said, the first focus is on languages and dialects. In fact, when I was the CEO at Prasar Bharati, one of the decisions that we took at the board, and Alok was also a board member, was to look at the entire archives of Doordarshan and All India Radio, which have content in multiple Indian languages, to make them available to AI researchers at IIT Kanpur so they can build a model around that. Similarly, there's a lot of Indian knowledge which is very traditional in nature, not digital, which is perhaps in the minds of our traditional artisans, farmers, and so on. How do we capture that traditional knowledge and then make it, available to AI models so that for the future generations we are able to preserve all that knowledge? Similarly, cultural diversity. A lot of the Western models have been built on data which is available on the open internet, and in the process they miss out on a lot of the cultural nuances, right? Be it about our festivals, be it about our traditions. So a lot of subtle nuances are lost in these models. Now, in the future, if these models become the basis, the reference for anybody to query about India or to understand India, then all that diversity is lost. So we have to ensure that the sovereign models that we build, at least they capture this diversity, they preserve it for future generations. So our approach has to be human-centric. It has to be inclusive, and like I said, it has to be sustainable. Because if, let's say, 1 billion Indians are going to start using ChatGPT at the scale at which it is being envisaged, the kind of computing power required and the kind of electricity that will be needed to sustain it, it's just not possible. So we have to think of smarter ways of doing AI. Maybe AI that runs locally on your mobile phone, which doesn't require to go to a central data center, right, where all the intelligence is available on your phone. So these are the kinds of approaches that our innovators will have to look at. And then lastly, of course, the models have to be reliable and trustworthy. One of the biggest challenges today with a lot of the popular AI platforms like ChatGPT and so on is the fact that when they don't know the answer to a question, they tend to make it up, because those models have been designed to basically predict text, and where not able to predict the next text, next word, or next sentence with a very high degree of confidence, they make up stuff by going to the next most likely answer. So in the process, what is happening is what are called hallucination, where basically the AI model is making up things which don't exist. It may quote a research paper that doesn't exist. It may talk about a court case verdict which never happened. So it may make up stuff, and is a serious problem, and that problem has not gone away yet. So for very generic topics, the AI models may give you very accurate answers. But if you're, let's say, doing very specific research, you're doing a journalistic story where you want to get into the depths of any particular incident, and if that information was not part of the training data that the model had, very highly likely that it will make up stuff. And unless you're a trained researcher, you may not be able to spot some of those things. So that's something, big concern that needs to be considered in terms of how should we make these models trustworthy. And then, of course, these models must serve our strategic needs. So these are some of the priorities that the broader ecosystem and the government are looking at. It's very interesting that the Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat was the basis for a lot of the initial model development in India. Reason being that it is broadcast in multiple Indian languages, and it is very highly accurate translation. So that makes the entire Mann Ki Baat corpus a good training data set to build these AI models. And then, of course, the way the global trend is that unless India's needs are considered, nobody can build AI models which are complete, which explains why what Alok just mentioned, that ChatGPT has come up with a very India-specific pricing. Similarly, a few weeks back, there is another platform called Perplexity. And if you're an Airtel user today, you can get Perplexity for free, I think, for 1 year or so on from your Airtel subscription. So the bigger platforms are looking at India as a market because we are the largest internet user-based community, English speaking. So we are a good training ground as such for these models. So they're all very looking at it. So then our interest has to be reflected in this model, and that is what the Prime Minister has been articulating as well. So one question is, what happens to the human aspect, right? And where will the humans score over the machines? So I think while the AI can automate a lot of things, while AI can have very wide span of knowledge, the human insight that comes from the very specialized understanding that comes from experience, that the machines and the algorithms will never be able to fully capture. And I think that is the edge that we will always have. And then, of course, to be able to do that, you need to have domain expertise. You need to have deep domain knowledge. You could be a journalist with lots of experience in a certain part of India. That insight the algorithm will never have. A good example that I always think of from, again, another Star Wars analogy is C3PO versus R2D2. What you have with ChatGPT and all these large language models is C3PO. It is very articulate, very creative, very expressive, but it is garbage in, garbage out. It has no understanding. But the real domain knowledge lies with the bots, the R2D2s, the droids who understand how to solve problems. And so that is where ultimately the power of technology will come, where you're able to combine human insight, deep domain knowledge with the power of the algorithm. And then, of course, this will require analytical skills, people who have been trained to be able to do this, be it automating routine tasks or being able to do very specialized. And Alok talked about the radiologists. Today, I think in India, there are many large towns where they don't have certified radiologists. So a combination of AI plus trained radiologists will, I think, is the kind of scenarios that we will need, where you can't totally rely on the algorithm. At the same time, how do you bridge that human gap? So it has to be a creative combination of technology plus the human expert. I think from a news media standpoint, of course, this is where most of your interest would be. The generative AI, by its very design, is meant to create, and hence it's tailor-made for the media industry. Wherever there is creative writing is concerned, wherever there is generation of images, generation of videos, clearly that is a role that is meant for generative AI. Of course, when it comes to news media, it is not just the creativity, right? It is the factual accuracy that matters. And I think that is where you have a challenge with the current of models. So these are various sort of functions where we are seeing application of AI. It could be news gathering, research, looking at vast amount of data and summarizing so that you could put together your articles or your copies. And then, of course, how do you make it interactive? Today, a lot of media is infographics, visually presenting complex information. So can you use these AI tools to quickly do that, bring down the amount of time it takes to create some of these things? A great example is this tool called Notebook LM. So you can give it any article, any paper, any research report, and it can generate a podcast for you. And the podcast is almost human-like. You can't even tell the difference. So today the technology has matured to a degree where even generating a podcast is a matter of few minutes. So this is an example from an actual media research company where their internal teams are using all these tools to generate reports. So this is just a reflection of how deep the penetration of technology is today, where even if at the organizational level they've not implemented AI, their individual staff are already using these tools, either through subscription or through some free method to do their work. And this is a good reflection of how much AI diffusion has already happened within the news media in India. Then, of course, combining smartphones, social media, that is kind of the future where potentially you'll see a whole lot more happening. We're already seeing that with a lot of news reports, which are AI generated. And the risk there is, if there is a mistake in the AI model, then that mistake gets repeated and amplified. One example, in fact, was just sharing in the conversation before the session. So the Prime Minister recently inaugurated this set of expressways on the Dwarka side. But there were a whole bunch of news reports which had a headline saying the time to go from Delhi to Noida has been reduced to 20 minutes. And I couldn't fathom how that happened. It most likely was an AI-generated thing where that got repeated and copied across multiple media outlets. So you have this challenge of bias in the algorithms, the fact that the algorithms may make up stuff. So how do you ensure that there's high credibility? And then how do you respect intellectual property? And this is, I think, India is one of the big test cases. You have this court case going on where ANI has challenged OpenAI on the use of copyrighted material. I think that would be a very interesting judgment whenever that comes. The manner in which a lot of these models have been trained, where without taking explicit permissions, they've used copyrighted data and trained their models. So I think it is clear that AI diffusion, especially in the news sector, is quite high, and there are concerns, challenges, as with any new technology. The big difference is that the productivity is seeing an exponential jump. Right, what would have taken you days to do, you can now do it in a matter of seconds and a matter of minutes, and I think that is a big game changer. Is that leading to better quality content, or is it leading to greater volume of content? I think that's a debate that will take some time to resolve. But the trend is clear that the tools are empowering creators in a big way, in a manner that we have not foreseen. And I think that is exactly what the Prime Minister said at Paris, where he said, the human progress is happening at a pace that we have not seen before. And how do we catch up? How do we keep up with the times? I think that's going to be a challenge for not just media persons, but for every media organization and all of us. So with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Let's start it in a formal session. Put the light on. Let's open the session, please.
Thank you. We open the session for question and answer right now. And yes, we will have, yes, Ashok, please. Introduce yourself. Take the mic. Mic to the Ashok.
I am Ashok B. Sharma, a freelance journalist, rather a columnist. I want to know what is the difference between AI and generative AI. Number one. Number two, you have stated that the AI generated certain things which do not occur. For example, the court cases, as you said. So can you amplify on it? Third is that how is the tools? Can you explain all the tools employed by AI?
Okay, so the difference between artificial intelligence, like I explained in the definition, is the ability of machines, which are computers, to work and think intelligently like human beings, right? Generative AI is the new development where AI can generate items for us, whether it is text, whether it is pictures, whether it is audio, or whether it is video. So the wide field is artificial intelligence. A lot of so that is exactly what was said. Once AI starts generating things, currently there are issues where it is not 100% accurate. Accuracy is important, but there are at least 5%, 66 chance that there will be mistakes. Therefore, everything has to be crossed, and therefore, new models are giving you references from where I have got this information so that you can verify yourself. That link and verify yourself. And it can generate all kinds of digital content, right? Like I said, text, audio, video, code, anything which is digital. as of now. Tomorrow it can start doing physical things. So that we'll see with robots, etc.
Tools used in by.
So some of the
Can you-
tools, were shown. So there is ChatGPT, of course, where you can do lots of things. There is Claude, which is another company like ChatGPT. There is Gemini from Google, where you can do similar to ChatGPT. There is Grok from XAI, which is the same. Then there are specifics. So there is a tool called Hagen. I showed you a video of me talking on camera. You can create videos like that through Hagen. 11 Labs, where you can create any kind of audio. So I can replicate your audio and start doing voiceovers in your voice using 11 Labs. Suno, where you can create songs, and so on. There are lots and lots of tools. FreePick, where you can create.
But accuracy is important.
Yeah, so the accuracy
The
is
level
now
of
above 90%. Above 90%.
About
Most-
90%.
Yes.
10%
Yes. But you don't know which 10% is wrong. Therefore, the entire 100% has to be checked.
The generative AI doesn't know what subject it is giving you an answer on or it's writing an essay on. It is looking at its vast training data, looking at patterns that, for example, you want to know court cases, court verdicts on, some subject like constitutional amendments, right? It's looking at its vast training data to see what all constitutional amendments it has access to. And based on that, it is then going to generate the essay that or answer the question that you asked. Now, if let's say that training data had very little information on constitutional amendment, it will make up stuff because that is how these models are designed, which is why, as he said, it is 90%. The remaining 10% has to come from your knowledge, your research to say, okay, I think this is not accurate. Let me go verify it. Let me come up with a better answer to that.
I'm Ratnajyoti. I represent S&P Global Platts. I have an observation. As a content creator, we write reports, and we need to give undertaking these days that we won't use AI. So there is a clear-cut instructions from the news organizations that you should, as a reporter, if I write, it has to be original. I should not use or I won't use AI. So that is an undertaking we give. So what do you have to say on this?
No, I think it's matter of how different organizations view, right? You could use AI to get you the initial material, right? Let's say you're writing a report on some specialized topic. You could use the AI to do your research and give you all the background bullet points. And then, of course, that is your input. The output is finally yours. You create your copy based on that. You write your report based on that. So I think what you're seeing with many media organizations is that inputs activity, that productivity is improving because they're reducing the amount of time it takes by using AI to do that research. Writing, I think it's a matter of each organization, right? Like even today morning, I was seeing some articles in different web portals where it is completely AI generated. So many new media organizations are already doing it. So I think it's an organizational policy issue, whether they want to use AI generated 100% or 0%, or they let individual reporters use part of it. Yeah, but that is a training thing, right? That is a one-time thing. But once the training data is, the model has been built using the training data, after that, it is not taking your content. Your content is still yours. You have control over that. Yes. Yeah.
More and more, people are using AI to read. See, you may write a long report or long article with all your ability writing, but people just do an AI summary and take out the 6 key bullet points from there, or from reader's perspective, right? So you put in all the human effort, but the writer is saying, "Give me 6 bullet points, I can read in 5 seconds and go on to the next one."
Well, sir, I'm Professor Dr. Ratnesh Trivedi, and I have privilege of working with an AI company based in San Francisco. It's called Scale AI. Recently, I also have 25 certificate from National Aeronautics and Space Administration and have done a 3-month course. Recently, I attended a conference of NASA, and few days later, I was invited by an AI company to give an interview to work on certain project. I was quite astonished that the same content which was discussed in the NASA conference was asked by AI company. I cross-verified with NASA headquarters and they sent me an email. I have the copy of that email that the AI company was not related with NASA conference, neither as a NASA contractor nor as a third party. So this is one danger of AI. Second, I am since professor, I have seen students doing projects totally based on AI. Way back before 2014, when I was in largest private university of India, all the projects were handwritten. And nowadays they do using it AI tools. So don't you think it's killing the originality of the thought process?
Yeah. No, I think there's a clear challenge with the classroom, especially, right? And you're an educator, so you know it better. But the use of AI in classrooms has increased substantially. So now the teachers have to be more creative in terms of what challenges they pose to the students, so that even if they're using AI to do their problems or to do their projects, maybe there are further additional requirements that you put, which they cannot using AI, right? So you'll have to get creative, and that's happening across classroom, not just at the school level, even at college level as well, right? For example, recently my son said that he's been given an assignment in his computer science program where he has to build an entire shell program for Unix. I said, how can you do it in 3 months? But now using they have not put any restrictions, so you can use AI to generate the code. But then he has to think of the design. He has to think of so there are creative aspects in the assignment which go beyond just the code generation. So you'll have to think of creative ways of solving.
Yeah, I think this is an important consideration for all educators, right? More and more we have to think about what exactly is education. And since information content, because we have always focused on making people remember, so what is called rote learning, right? I must remember formulas, I must remember passages, essays, etc. That's not required anymore. I don't need to remember the history. I need to, therefore, the focus of entire education is to move to problem solving, where humans are still better than AI and will continue to be, and creativity, originality and creativity. So the entire focus has to be on developing human skills on those sides for different fields. And the actual knowledge repository will come from AI and various sources, etc. So it takes away all the mundane, and we can then use our brains only to do the extraordinary.
Yes, please.
I'll take your advice. So, first question to the gentleman who just spoke. Aren't there perils in that? My name is. First question to you is that aren't there perils in not knowing the formulae, like you said, for a particular thing? I'm sure you don't need to spend time on mundane activities anymore. I agree, but are the dangers associated same when a person would have made a mistake? Generally, human error quotient and the error quotient, are they closing? Is it going to be same in future? One. My next question is more important, and I'm interested in it, is Mr. Shashi. You did mention that AI has not yet picked up traditional knowledge, farmers and all that. Is there work happening in that field? Because that's something that India would desperately need when we say that India is going to be an important part of the AI world. Thank you.
Okay, so for the first one, um, I think our approach to this as humans keeps evolving all the time. There was life before calculators. All of us were taught how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, etc. And we all had to do it mentally or through, writing it down, etc. Then calculators came and we all worked with calculators. Comprehension of mathematics, I think, has even gone further rather than going back, right? Because then people are able to focus more time on the next level of uh, arithmetic abilities. Uh, so also after Google came, all information easily available. I don't have to remember things and so on. So these will evolve. Therefore, we have to keep moving to the next level of what human capabilities can do and what can be outsourced. There are some perils as well. We can't deny that, and we will have to continue to evolve. Nobody's saying this is the perfect solution. In fact, there are lots of things which are pointed out by Shashi, which are a problem and which you have to watch out for, and lots of things which will be good for us. So how humans and AI coexist is going to be an important question for all of us, everybody to answer.
They were 0.0001% was their failure, but not AI. Already it's 10%.
Right.
But that apart, I do agree what you're saying that we need to move on. However, the pace at which we plan to move on and the base which we are relying on could be a question. Shashiza, you're my next question.
Yeah, sure. Let me answer both to both the questions. Right. On Netflix, there's one movie, I'm forgetting the name. In fact, the word computer was actually used to describe humans who would do the calculations for the space missions, right? And mostly these were women, so they were called the computers. And so as Alok said, it's a matter of evolution. And but yeah, it doesn't mean that you should not memorize or not know some of these formulas, because that there will be situations where you would want to cross-verify what the algorithm has put out. And the only way you can cross-verify is if you understand the code. If you don't understand the code, there's no way you can cross-verify. So that's not going to go away. It's just that we're just getting more productive, more faster, getting more enabled. On your question about traditional knowledge sources, so one of the projects which is currently being funded by the Department of Science and Technology called BharatGen, it's out of IIT Bombay, which is trying to build India's sovereign AI foundational models. They just released, just a few days back, our Indian model for agriculture based on agricultural data. So that effort is already on. So BharatGen, then there is another project out of IIT Madras called AI for Bharat. So between these two, you're seeing a lot of this work happening, both on the Indian languages, the Indian dialects based on accents with voice, and these traditional sources of knowledge.
Can I ask a question? I just wanted to know, and I mean, 15 years ago, we were not even thinking of this artificial intelligence that can, be a tool or a revolution that now. What is the future of this 10 years from now? Well, how do you see the IT taking over in any way? If you can just elaborate a bit on this. And my question, Shashi, is on the, now they are trying to add the tools of lying, artificial intelligence. I mean, if that is this, they start when you are going for data and all that, the lying is, the mindset of a human being, that to find out if this is a liar or is telling the truth. How do we deal with these challenges?
Try and answer the second question first. This is no that most people in the world today are workers, and small percentage are managers. I think this is my view that most people will become managers, and AI will be the workers, right? Because we will all have the ability to use through our devices. It may not be phone, it may be something else. This little thing, whatever we want to call it, AI or whatever it will evolve to, which will do whatever we want for us. And therefore, as managers, we have to direct them in the right direction, make them efficient, use them in the most economical fashion, and so on. Therefore, we will constantly keep using our brain power more and more. So, uh, if that is the case, then there is constant scope for evolution of both the technology and the people who are using the technology, which is sorry, the first one. So 10 years from now, of course, there will be a lot more usage. Actually, today, the hype is a lot more than real usage. Right? All of us use it, but we use it for little things from time to time. 10 years from now, we will be using it predominantly, like we use internet predominantly. For everything, we use internet today. Or it is connected via internet, whether we are ordering something, buying something, taking a car, finding information, etc. Everything is done through the internet. It's the same, writing mail, sending a message, it's all connected via the internet. So same thing will happen to AI. We will all be using it extensively. And a lot of issues of today, we would have overcome, right? The trust issue, which is the trust efficiency is there, we should be able to overcome. And some of the other fears people have, everybody will lose their job and AI will kill us all, etc. We would have found ways of managing that.
But there are certain things sometimes when we sit down and think about it, like, is it replacing us? It's not replacing us. We agree on that. It's not, because it depends on what information you give, and that's what you get the feedback. But I'm just trying to find myself, because nowadays the brain of a human being is being reduced so much that even the cells is not being fully utilized. Like the body now, you're physically also you're not getting that into that activity because of the challenges of the technology. Even you're using cars, don't go for a walk, you don't even manually doing much of the things. So how much it challenges for a human being? I just wanted to know the angle of that one.
No, I don't think we fully fathom how things will change, right? Because the pace of change is so fast. Just in a matter of a year, some of these models have gone through 5 revisions already, right? Things that we thought will take maybe a few years to happen have happened in a few months. So the pace of change of technology is very fast. So I don't think anyone can make very highly reliable predictions on how things will change. But some things are already visible. I mean, you have an amazing comfort with Hindi. I was quite impressed with your. But maybe tomorrow you could talk in Arabic, I could talk in Telugu, and we could understand each other. So those are things which will likely happen in a matter of a couple of years. The other big challenge, which Alok was pointing out, is the real world appreciation. Today, AI doesn't understand the real world. So that is the big challenge. So once AI understands the real world physics, then you will have robotics, you'll have all kinds of machines that start doing things intelligent. That would be a big shift that happens. So maybe within 10 years that happens.
Or a comment, Dr. Awad, about the use of technology. My name is D.K. Giri. I am the chairman of Sumakar Center. Sumakar was the father of appropriate technology in the world. He propounded a concept called appropriate technology. And he said that, which means implicitly that there are some technologies that are inappropriate. Of course, there's a market which produces technology, and they force us to consume it. Whether we need all this technology, that is a question. About AI, is that AI, to my mind, is an improvised version of internet. It behaves as an agency, takes the data from internet, and talks to you as if giving the answer. I mean, what we find in internet, AI produces that. AI has no data bank, I think. You see, so I do not think AI is the wonder of the world, and then it will take over the human beings, and robots will be walking around and will be relevant. I do not think that is going to ever happen. And people will learn or unlearn not to use technology as well. Like you said, Dr. Awad, a lot of people are walking now, and there are more people walking than they were walking before. So idea like thesis and antithesis, it moves, and we'll come back to. So I'm not afraid of it. Thank you.
Come on, guys, make it more interesting. The topic is quite interesting.
This is Sanjeev Ahuja from Asian News. We write on Indo-East Asian affairs with prime focus in Japan.
Korea and Taiwan. So my question is we as journalists, when we do create stories, we give prompts, not only prompts, like we give a lot of data. And like you said, we are basically trying to save on time. When the flow of stories is more, to save on time, we sometimes use. So what if we are using generated stories and uploading on website? How the Google or other ranking sites are going to take it? Does that really negatively impact the ranking of the website? So that is my question.
Right now, yes. If it is AI generated content, by and large, people are able to figure out AI. It is AI generated content. It goes lower on the
No,
rank.
not about the people in general, but the ranking sites. Does the
Yeah, yeah.
ranking
No, no.
of the website
So I'm-
affects?
Yeah. So I'm talking about Google. Google understands the difference between AI generated content and naturally generated content, and it ranks you lower if you're uploading AI generated content.
But journalists do not just give a simple prompt that give me a story on this subject. We give primary data. I mean, whatever we collect from the field, we put it in that. We just need the AI to just format the story to just to save on time. So my information is exclusive. So Google is not going to take that into perspective.
So, I mean, it's not black or white, right? If you have used information or generated information with AI, but you have used your human ability to do it, then it's no longer considered AI. Even in the definition, there are new laws in the US which have been passed and so on. That is not being considered as AI as long as there is human intervention. So that's how it is viewed. I think it is not 100% science, and there will be debate on this going on all the time, because then it's not Google won't be able to classify it as AI generated.
So what if I'm doing an exclusive story, and I just put it on AI tool, and an AI tool regenerate the story. For example, somebody
You will be in
else-
trouble.
Sorry.
You will be in trouble. So if,
My story gets
the
leaked.
final output, if the final output is AI created, despite 90% of input going from you, it will get classified as AI. So if rather you use it for the preliminary work, for all the research and creation and development, but the final presentation should be in your voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Needs to be done by you. The dish will be prepared. The garnishing is very important.
Yeah.
You have a different view?
Yes.
Yes.
Ability, and it differs from person to person. Do you agree?
That it has to be his creativity that comes in. Yeah. So I think to your question, where the ranking goes down is when it is an automated article. Today, a lot of people, what they're doing is they're using AI to directly take feeds from PTI and ANI and generate automated articles. Those would get downranked because those are clearly synthetic products. But what you're talking about, where you're taking the help of AI to write a report, and of course, you should not, just copy paste the output of the AI, but you should, work on it, add your garnishing like you described. Then that is your work product. That's your correct. Correct. Yeah, but if you're doing automated article generation, then of course you will be in trouble, like what Alok mentioned.
From Korean to English, English to Japanese. So, can you really trust 100% on these translations?
So there are, I think, two approaches to that. One is the traditional translation approach that Google and the earlier model. No, so let me come to that. So the traditional ones used to be designed based on a knowledge of the language, hence their accuracy levels were much better. What is happening now is people are using generative AI to do the translation. And generative AI, like we talked about, has a problem of hallucinations, right? So it can make up stuff. So in the process of translation, it may add its own fiction to it. So hence you have to cross check, you have to, so using generative AI for translation has that risk where it can make up things which are not accurate. Well, the trend now is generative AI, right? Even now, if you, let's say, off late, even if you do try to, for example, on Twitter, if you're trying to do translation, it is using Grok to do the translation. So the trend is now increasingly to use generative AI, but it comes with that risk. So you have to watch out, you have to cross check. I think recently the Karnataka chief minister, he had a problem, right? He was, I think, giving a condolence message or something on Facebook, and the Facebook automated translation used a very inappropriate language in English, right? So it completely changed the context of what you are saying in Kannada. So those kinds of risks exist.
I have more question because there are a lot of people online as well, more journalistic in approach. Let me give you a situation, especially the geopolitical situation these days. And my question is to both of you. It requires a lot of sensitivities, and there are certain regional nuances that person has to keep in mind. Now, if somebody is doing a story, say, for Russia, Ukraine, or maybe for Trump policy versus India, or the tariff going to increase or decrease. Now, there are a lot of unwritten things, or there are a lot of things that we can't go all open in public. Now, a lot of people will do research from AI, obviously, because they have to, and the AI will crawl the data from the World Wide Web. That's how it will give the final output. So, what is your view on the sensitive subject stories that somebody is doing? What is the correct way to do that going forward? Because there are few situations. One more question. Thank you.
Sir, I'm Sunil of the IT. Now, can these intelligent systems respond to data learned from the environment, make their own decisions, and can they interact with other intelligent systems as well, or intelligent agents?
So theoretically, it is possible. They will continue to learn. All AI systems which are built continue to learn. And that is why every few months, like Shashi said, 2 or 3 months, they're coming out with a new version because they're getting better, their capability is improving. But, somebody said it very well, which is that these AI systems don't know when to stop and don't know when to stop. Right? So to start, they need humans. We have to give something, a prompt, saying do this. Only then it will start doing something. With humans, there is no such problem. We get up in the morning and we know what to do. Or we figure out what to do, even if you don't know what to do. Right? Because we are humans, their own intrinsic needs, which a machine system does not have. And similarly, you know when to stop. AI, you ask 1,000 iterations, it will give you 1,000 iterations. So therefore, if they have to interact with another, where do they start? What do they start talking about? When I'm looking for the first time, I know how to greet you, what to ask you, to get to know you a little more. I don't know whether these AI systems yet have that. That fear and risk that people have all the time, that one day this could happen. They could become so smart that this could happen, and then that could mean trouble for all humans. I personally think it's not going to happen.
To your question on sensitive topics, I think that's a real risk today. And for example, a lot of what we are seeing in the last few days is based on either lack of information, very limited information, or wrong perceptions. Now imagine this gets repeated and amplified by Reuters, Associated Press, AFP. It's published in 10,000 different media outlets. Tomorrow, the next version of ChatGPT is trained on that. It will carry those biases. So that's a big risk. And today we've reached a point where heads of states are responding to each other on social media. And tomorrow they start doing that with wrong information on AI. I think the risk of geopolitical conflict just goes up. So yeah, that's a serious issue. And I think I don't see an easy answer to it, but it's a risk. I'm sure when the next AI summit happens in Delhi next year, I'm sure the world leaders will deliberate on it. To your question of intelligent systems, I think like what Alok said, they need to be prompted. So I actually did this experiment. I got ChatGPT and Grok to talk to each other by prompting them initially. And by the 20th or 25th prompt, they start figuring out communication in a completely different way. And I think Facebook did this in their research lab. They did an experiment where the bots started communicating in a language that they made up. So those kinds of things are also possible, where the algorithms start figuring out that they can communicate in a more efficient way between each other.
So, as rightly named, AI is artificial, not real or real-time intelligence. So, why they should have called, if it is a real intelligence, it should have called real intelligence or real-time intelligence. So, I feel this is remain artificial. Rightly suggested. That is right.
In fact, that's a big area of debate. What is artificial intelligence? There is a big difference between different schools of thought.
Risky is the application of AI and generative AI in medical sciences, but particularly in hospital. Could you clarify it?
While there is some risk because it is not yet 100% accurate, I think accuracy will keep improving. But this is medical science is one field, and therefore a lot of research work is going in the healthcare and medical application of AI. Is where we will have maximum benefits of AI. Everybody feels that, because it can really speed up research of understanding human DNA, human proteins, in creating new medicines, etc., which all take a lot of time and which are not currently possible with the tools that we have. So there is that. We don't have equal healthcare for all, right? Because healthcare requires a lot of human knowledge of a very high standard, good quality healthcare, which is not possible to provide to everyone, all the 8 billion people. Which is where AI can help create artificial doctors or artificial healthcare practitioners along with humans who work with them and make everybody as smart. Because the medical science is definitive. Implementation of that medical science is not definitive. It depends on quality of the doctor we have, quality of the nurse we have, etc. So that is an area, again, it becomes very useful and it can help all of us. Right now, if you ask a medical related question to ChatGPT, it will really surprise you. On simple things also, it really surprises, starts giving more and more responses saying how to get a better life, how to take better care of your health, etc. It immediately becomes your healthcare advisor and very impactful.
Certain question online where somebody saying that the Google doctors is replacing the medical doctors, and that is why they troublemaker now. They become more of a complicating the prescription for a patient. So how do you react to this? Because most of the people now Google, and then if I'm a doctor, I prescribe for somebody about a disease, they will give me 101 complication, which I have not even come across during my course of studies. So how do we face these challenges of being a Google doctor or a real doctor? This is one of the questions. So I take 3 questions, but there's one you can answer.
I think the medical side needs to be regulated far more than anything else because the risks are very high, right? There is a different approach that some startups are taking. There's one Indian startup out of Pune where they are working for all the drug research companies to manufacture to come up with new drugs, and so their approach is to ensure that there is no scope for error, no scope for hallucinations, no scope for making things up. So their entire approach is not generative AI. Their entire approach is by mapping the knowledge and ensuring full traceability, so that if the AI tool says something, you can trace it back to its original source and verify it, which today you can't do with most of these generative AI tools. So there are different approaches for the health sciences sector. and I'm sure it'll be regulated very, very strictly in the days to come. So the question of Google Doctor, of course, as consumers, we will continue to go to Google and come up with all kinds of questions. But I think as far as the medical advice is concerned, I think that will have to be.
Thank you. The second one is somebody in the office. He said that he had the good staff working for him, but recently he has been writing very good. So he said he is using artificial intelligence, and he tried to track him. He couldn't track him well. Then he came to know there is something called undetectable AI. So what is that? You can not nobody can track you when you use the artificial intelligence.
I have not heard of undetectable AI, but all AI can be detected now with AI models.
Humanize the content. Once you create the content through AI tools, then you can humanize it also. And even the tools can detect it is generated by AI.
We have to keep one thing in mind. While we are calling it intelligence, not natural but artificial, but actually there is very little intelligence in the back. The way it is working is by predicting what is the next word which will come after this to make this right sentence. It's just a predictive model which happens. It has no genuine in-depth understanding of the subject matter. And which is why even when you say there are tools which will humanize it, after some time you will know there is a pattern. Any human will be immediately able to make out that this is not human.
The last question. Otherwise, yes, new people, new faces, please. Yeah, you can use this one, and then we have last question there. Then I have last tips.
Namaskar. This is a very excellent subject as on today we read in the news. What are the real applications in the legal systems to prepare the plaints, prepare matters, and to go by the precedences and the old cases, how far they are applicable and handled by the AI? Rakesh Gupta, advocate and member this.
Yeah. So I think this is where the this approach that I talked about for medical side, the same thing will be relevant even for the legal side as well, right? You need research tools which are based on the underlying knowledge, where you have full traceability, so that you have 100% confidence on the output. So there is work happening. Right now, it's happening on the medical research side, but I'm sure some startup will try and do it for the legal side as well. Yeah, with the generative AI, yes, but with these other approaches, which are not generative based but based on the underlying knowledge, they will be more reliable. And
Sir, my question is this artificial intelligence, how it makes impact on the judiciary? Because tomorrow intelligence means intelligent. So it replaces unintelligent judges, or that is my question, my doubt.
I think
And
best not to comment on it.
No, this is very important because tomorrow it replaces the unintelligent judges or something of this artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I think
Or it becomes an air India like that. How it is operating air India now, most faulty airline like that.
Yeah, so we, like I said, we don't want to comment on anybody's ability and so on. But it is best to look at AI as an assistant to humans, a tool which can enhance human ability. And therefore, for people who are naturally not that smart, right? IQ levels will vary. It can be even more useful as long as they're trained in the right direction to make the best use of this tool. It can give them, a great boost. As long as we keep it as assistant, the minute we say it should be able to do all that I do, then you are redundant. Then it will replace you.
Final question, please, from there.
So don't you think usage of AI is a personal threat to right to privacy? Because, sir, nowadays spammers, more of the fraudster are using this technique to blackmail individual right to privacy, sir.
No, so I think that is where the guardrails come in, right? And a lot of the work, in fact, that is happening right now, build up to this AI summit. One of the tracks is focused on that, on how to make AI safe and trustworthy and transparent. Because you're right, there are privacy issues, and these are real issues. And how do we ensure that the models, don't violate privacy? Tomorrow I could have a model that knows you, how you talk, how you behave, what your history is, and completely generate, fake stuff about you. So those are real concerns, and I think that is where the regulatory approaches will have to come in. Today, because we are in that initial phase, the focus is more on innovation. But once we, get past this initial phase, I think all these issues will be important and have to be addressed.
Thank you very much. I just have things that India will have its own artificial intelligence like the Chinese have done and they will like the American. Do you expect India to do so on this? Finally, please, if you both of you can give us some tips as a journalist on using the artificial intelligence because people are wanted to know more about this subject. Thank you.
So on the question of India building its own sovereign AI, so like I said, there are multiple projects under the India AI mission that have been funded. There is BharatGen out of IIT Bombay. There is AI for Bharat out of IIT Madras. There's also a startup which came out of IIT Madras called Samvam, which has been funded by the India AI mission. All these three are working on building an DeepSeek-like Indian model. So, on tips, I will go to the.
I think that is how I use it. When I don't know what AI can do for me, I ask ChatGPT or any of the tools. So it's just made life that much simpler. Just ask your AI model how I can use you. How can I create an image? How can I create a song? And it will tell you all the tools which are available and how to use those tools. So take the help of your AI rather than trying to remember 10 tips which somebody gives. Just use the tool and it will guide you in the right direction. You will know your specific use case. Very hard to address all the use cases. Just ask ChatGPT.
Thank you very much for the lovely session we had, and I think we should invite you again for another session because I feel there are lots of topics that will generate interest to speak with you on this. I'll give the mic to my colleague Amitabh to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Awad. I would definitely like to thank AI for India and Alokji and Shashiji for a very interesting session. I think this AI thing is evolving. Every hour there's a new change, and every day there is a new change. If you compare last 6 months, where we were and where we are right now, there's a huge change. I would also like to thank the beautiful audience. It was quite interactive, and I think as a FCC, we should hold such more event in days to come to catch up with the latest trends, what's going on, and also make it more interactive with the online audience because there's also online audience to the session which is going on right now. So thank you very much to both of you, and we would like to work very, very closely with you. And in days to come, we would like to have certain more interesting and interactive sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you with the memento from our club. Thank you very much. It's for you. And thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Please join us for the tea and cup. Thank you.